everybody, welcome back here to Camaro's Not Coffee. So here's a Camaro right here, of course, and I'm actually in the midst of an oil change, but I'm doing a coolant flush and fill also. So I'm going to start that here. We'll go and get this radiator flushed, put in a new coolant, and get it going. So I'm going to start that now. I hope you guys enjoy. I'm feeling a little under the weather, so sorry if I sound a little off. But we'll jump in and go through the steps. Okay, so definitely make sure you put on some safety glasses and some disposable gloves. This stuff is pretty toxic, so you don't want to get it on yourself. So this car has a traditional system. So what you're going to want to do, once the car is jacked up, take off the radiator cap. It's going to help the fluid drain better once we get to that step. So unscrew this. Make sure the car is cool, not hot, nothing like that. So cold, and that there's no pressure that's going to come out of here. So that's been removed. And then we'll also take a sec to inspect our radiator hoses. So these look pretty good. Give them a little squish and make sure that they seem okay. If there's any cracks or it seems brittle, you're going to want to replace them. The other one's down here. That goes to the other side. Okay, so from the driver's side, you want to come on under. And towards the front, you'll see this little white, it's called a petcock. Actually, it's a little plug that when you spin it, there's a hole here that the fluid will be able to come out. So that's what we're going to loosen. And then we'll put this bucket underneath. Before we open it up to catch that fluid. Make sure you have a bucket big enough. The system should take approximately 10.8 quarts from what I saw. So do your research, make sure you know what the number is. It was a little hard to find, but that's what I found. So we're pretty centered there. So then we'll go ahead and come under here and just start to turn this thing open. Okay, so it was a bit tough to get this loose, but you're going to want to spin it. And there comes our coolant. I'm not going to open this any farther because it's starting to drip out of the petcock, as it's called, so I'm going to close it just a little bit more so it doesn't drip out of there. And we're going to let this drain now. So while that's draining, just in case I didn't mention it, we took off the radiator cap to allow the fluid to flow out a lot better. So it allows air to come in this way, and the fluid can flow out from the bottom without that bubbling effect. So if you come down here, real quick, I did take the petcock all the way out. It was draining for about 10 minutes. And so you can see in there, it's fully released, and here's what it looks like. So it was just do it slowly and carefully so that it doesn't make a mess everywhere. So now we're just letting this drain for a little bit here still until it slows down. Okay, so you guys see it's just dripping now. So, ow! Go. Lovely. We have retrieved our petcock. I'm going to try not to do that again. Okay, try number 2. Clockwise to go back in, counterclockwise to take it out. I hope I mentioned that, but if I didn't, there's your note. So, and it's hand tight, about horizontal. So we'll dap that up. Okay, so the coolant looks pretty clean here. I'm still going to do a flush anyways because this new stuff is supposed to last 15 years or 350,000 miles. So I'm just going to flush it just in case, even though this does look pretty clean from what I understand. Okay, so that's been closed down there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and fill our system with distilled water. Make sure you use distilled water. Gets out some of those minerals that you don't want in here. Fill the radiator to the top first. So again, it should take around 2.5 gallons. Alright, so this filled to the top and it's staying there. It only took a little over a gallon. So this is only our second gallon that we're on here, so not as much as I expected, but there is a special fill procedure for this car, so once we get to adding the coolant itself, we'll have to follow that. but for doing the flush, not as critical. So what we're going to do is just throw some into the overflow tank. Also, and I said overflow tank, I meant reservoir. Sorry, this is a reservoir. Okay, so I put about a half a gallon in there, and that got the water. It's hard to see, but it's about up towards the top of this max area here where the dipstick is wet. So we're going to say that's pretty good fill there. All right, so our next step is to go ahead, carefully jumping in the car because it is elevated right now. So we're going to be nice and careful. We're going to want to turn it on, as crazy as that seems. Hood is open, and we're going to turn it over. So the whole purpose of this is to get the water now in the cooling system flowing to clean out any sludge that could be left over in there. So we do a complete flush of the system and to make sure everything's new and clean. So we'll get this running. We'll let it run for a little bit here until the fans turn on. On this screen shows our wrong screen. Coolant temp. So we're gonna go ahead and have this sit here for a little bit until our coolant fans start spinning. Once they start spinning, we're gonna run the engine for another 5 or 10 minutes or so, nothing more, then we'll turn it off and carry on. Actually, so one way to expedite that process of heating the car up so that the fans do have to turn on is to, you can first go ahead and turn the heat all the way on, and then defroster. We'll throw the rear defroster on too, just in case, and then we'll turn the fan speed up. So that is going to cause this to heat up faster, and then you can also rev the engine up to around 2,500 RPM. So we'll do that, and these things will help turn those fans on quicker. Once the fans turn on, you can just stop doing these things and let it go. Okay, so the car's been running, the fans turned on, and then we realized they turned off, and it was weird. It seems to keep going back and forth. So if I show you here, you see they're on, and then they will stop when that click happens, and then they'll turn on again in a second. So it keeps doing this. I'm just gonna call it that it's been going for 5 minutes. The flush isn't critical again because the fluid looks pretty good, so we're just gonna call it there, turn the car off, and then we will let it cool. So go ahead and just turn it off, and now we'll let it cool until we can take that water out and move on. Okay, so now we're going to open up our radiator cap again so that the flow goes easier once we go down to drain the fluid. That's nice and open, and it pretty much just looks like water, so that's good. And there's not a lot of sludge that we got out. And then we come back under here, just like before. Look at our bucket lined up. And we're going to have to open up our... Yeah, it's a little dark, guys, so sorry about that, but... We'll get this open here. Start this draining. Jesus. Okay, so that is draining still. I just wanted to say real quickly, this time I decided to take the little petcock thing all the way out right away. Do not do that. I strongly recommend against doing that. So what happened is there was such force in that distilled water mostly when I took it out right away that it sprayed and hit a beam that goes across the side and then sprayed water everywhere. So don't do that, especially with the coolant. Make sure you wear your safety glasses. I had mine on, thank goodness. I did wash my face because I got hit in the face with some of it. So don't open it right away. Just let it drip for a bit, and then you can slowly experiment with opening it more to expedite the process. Okay, so we put that plug back in once the water stopped draining. Then if you come over here, so this is essentially what came out. So guessing this is around 5 gallons total. So this is our initial drain, and then our distilled water, which we put about 1.5 gallons in. So that's in this bucket. We're gonna fill our empty buckets once we're done and take it to a recycling place. And then, so this is what we're gonna do next. Now we have to fill our radiator until the level stabilizes in the radiator through that cap. So we have a little bucket here. If you have a bigger one, it'd be easier. But essentially, we have to just mix that 50-50 ratio because we have concentrated coolant plus antifreeze. So I got the Prestone Platinum, 15 years, 350,000 miles for any vehicle. I did some research, and it seemed to be pretty accurate with that. So we're gonna go with that stuff, and then we just have our distilled water again. So 50-50, this container goes up to 24 ounces, so it's gonna do 12 ounces, mix, and then enter, and then over again until we're full. Make sure to close this thing up too before after you use it, because it is hydroscopic, so it tries to absorb water, so you don't want to leave it open if you plan on using it in the future again. It feels warm too, it's weird. And then just take a quick check for leaks too, to make sure nothing's leaking out from the bottom. You don't want to find that out a while later, but we look pretty good. So now we're going to keep doing that until this level stabilizes. Okay, so I got about 112 ounces in there before the level is staying at the top. So what I'm going to do real quick actually is put the cover back on and then lower the car down to the ground so that it's level for when we finish the fill here. So that's all we're going to do real quick. Okay, so with the car back on the ground, we're going to open this up again. And this is our Camaro specific fill procedure. So this is open, and it's hard to see. You can see it a little bit right there. You got the fluid level in there, so that's stabilized. So now we're gonna go over and turn the car on. So we got it ready to go. This is what it says to do. So we'll come in here, key is set, and all right. Now we gotta look for the level and top off as the engine's running. Okay, so didn't have time to film it because when we turned the car on, this level in here, it was lower, and it started to come up, and it kept coming up. And so we had to turn the car off and put the cap on real quick before it started to just overflow. So a little hard to follow the specific fill procedures where you're supposed to run it and then add coolant to stabilize the level. I presume that the level would have dropped. But it did not. So what I'm going to do is simply add to the reservoir here until the level is correct, and then we're just gonna have to check it tomorrow and the next time after we drive it a few times to make sure that the level doesn't drop, to make sure that this is still where it's supposed to be. So that's what we're gonna do here. Okay, so in the process of filling up the reservoir, it took the first bit that I poured in. The second container that I tried to pour in, it started to actually leak at the bottom. So we got paper towels everywhere. We got to clean up a little bit of a mess here. It started to leak. So the thought is possibly that it is full enough and there is an overflow partway down in the reservoir. The level on the dipstick seems fine. It would be weird if there was an issue just randomly that it started to leak. So what we're going to do, I'm going to end this video here. However, because it's going to take me a little bit to actually make the video, if I'm being honest, if there's an issue that we need to fix, it will still be in the end of this video. So if there's something that comes up, it will be in this video. But otherwise, everything worked fine. That's the process, at least. So it seems like a car-specific issue. It shouldn't be a general issue. Sorry, it's a little bit of a weird ending, but thank you all so much for watching. Have an awesome rest of your day. Peace.